And now for something completely different.
She cooks nothing but chuck wagons, stew, and her name is Minerva. Ouch. She's the flower of the devoured goats.
Did you know Wraith of God is an acclaimed series? Well, it is, so you should back it. And you'll find a link in the description of this video to take you right there to support this incredible campaign. Hello, everybody. This is Aaron Lopresti. I am alive and well. I don't usually like to talk about my health because it's nobody's business. No offense. But then that leads to conjecture and speculation and people asking questions and reporting rumors. And let me just say this and we put it to rest. I was dealing with complications from a kidney stone. So there you go. That's what was keeping me out of normal function for better part of almost 2 weeks, week and a half anyway. So anyway, we're up and swinging. Shelly, of course, who has no problem, sharing her health concerns, had her reconstructive surgery on Friday. Went pretty well, actually, pretty smoothly. She's feeling a little bit of pain today, though. It's sort of like those first 2 days, they numb you up and everything's pretty good. And you're like, hey, this isn't too bad. Then today I was like, this is kind of bad. So yeah, she's doing with the just from the pain from the actual surgery. But other than that, things are going well for her. So that's your update on Shelly. That's your update on me. Let's move forward, shall we? I'm glad to be back. And so to complicate matters, I stood up. When was this? Thursday of last week? Yeah, it was Thursday. Stood up, just, sitting on the couch, got up, hurt my back. Because that's what old people do. They stand up and hurt themselves. So I've got the lower back trauma. I got to go to the chiropractor tomorrow. But so yeah, a nice mix of ice and heat, trying to, get this thing to relax a little bit. But yeah, other than that, we are just freaking swell. Wonderful. Thanks for joining us. You're watching Aaron Live. It is October 20th. Oh my goodness. 2024. I can't even believe how time flies. And I'm still waiting for that having fun part, because all I'm seeing right now is time flying. So anyway, let's see who's here. And then we'll move on with the incredible length, the list of things to do today. Mark Pengren is here first, he says, but of course this is not a contest, so he gets nothing. He knows the routine, but we appreciate your participation. Creative Faye is here. She says, hi, Aaron, I'm second, and I'm going to send your package out tomorrow. Am I supposed to be getting a package? See, people tell me stuff and then I forget. But thank you. Stealth X5, Aaron is streaming again. Indeed, I am. Leg Kick is here because Leg Kick is almost always here. Pantheon joining us, and Randy Howell all the way from Canada. I am going to make my own Bigfoot film. It'll be better than anything I show on this channel. I'm telling you that right now. Toshiro is here. Bretsky the Great. Daniel Russell. Repairman Jack. The Return. Welcome back, Lopez. Thank you. Appreciate it very much. Citizen Ronan's here. Chocolates Curry is joining us. Sequential Treasures says, bring on the comic art. Oh, we'll bring some stuff on. Marcus Killer Group, purveyor of all things pop culture knowledge, is joining us. G.J. Martinez, all the way from Texas. Let's see who else we got here. Paul Taylor, all the way from Canada. We, on this show, we span the globe. We span the globe. Let's see here. A little talking amongst yourselves in the chat, which is I highly recommend. Barbara Paulson joining us. Hi, Barbara. Thanks for joining us. Duck Bacon. I know Duck Bacon. I met Duck Bacon at the Washington State SummerCon. So how about that? It's true. Robert Doan's Pills. You know, Doan's Pills, back in the day, they would recommend those for backaches, right? So if you had a backache, get Doan's Pills. I could use some Doan Pills right now. So Robert Doan's Pills is here. 5 minutes late. Aaron can never make a deadline. I'm legendary for missing deadlines. Of course, we know that's not true. I'm legendary for making deadlines. But, you know, I used to be like right on top of it. And when Shelly was doing the show regularly, I'd be, Shelly, we got 5 minutes. We got to go. We got to go. Get on. You know, now it's like, a couple minutes late, you know, whatever. Tim F is here. Actually, you know what, Paul? There is an alternate universe where I am a huge Atari Force fan. I'm going to send you there right now. Okay. Don't mess with me. Don't mess with me. Stealth X5, $2. Hello. Well, thank you, Stealth. Appreciate it very much. Glad you're here. Thank you for the $2. Thank you for the salutations. Let's see here. Past Master Dan is joining us. Geek Avenger is here. Matthew Muma. Ryo Stu is joining us. And Matthew Moreau, not to be confused with Matthew Muma. Ms. Stippling. Andino Palazzo is joining us. Headless Bourgeoisie. Jeff Potts. How about that? Jeff Potts is here. Dale A. Well, let's see if I get caught up here now. Geek Avenger for 10. Thank you, Geek. A few bucks for chocolate for Shelly and Mama Lopresti. Okay, so now I got to go to C's Candy and spend the $10 on candy for my wife and my mother, which I'll do because I steal their candy anyway. Okay. What else we got here? I think that's everybody. If I missed you, it's not because I don't love you. It's because I'm old. All right. So let's get a little updates here, shall we? Not much to report on the progress of Wraith of God 3, although the 30-day closeout is just 5 days away. So that's what? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Is it Friday? Friday. So I'll probably be doing something for Friday. Maybe not overly spectacular, but yeah, so we got that coming up, the 30-day closeout. As far as Kit Carter goes, we've shipped now, well, I've got a huge pile of boxes down there that are going out tomorrow, but we're over 600 orders filled on Kit Carter. I think we still have calculated probably around 125, 130 orders before we run out of everything except the hardcovers, which hopefully will be here this week. I say hopefully because I don't trust anybody. I'm cynical. I'm an angry old man, and I get really ticked off when people don't do their job. And I've been dealing with way too much of that with Kit Carter, and it's really ticking me off. So I sent out an update pretty much explaining what happened was the bindery needle that they used to stitch up the binding on the hardcovers broke off. And it broke off in one of my books. It ruined every single copy of the hardcovers with the exception of 24 of them, which have been shipped out. So 24 people have their hardcovers. The rest of you have been waiting for them to reprint the entire run, which they destroyed. So, and then as they tell me, okay, they told me originally, we'll have it for you next week. It's a big deal. We'll get this rushed and blah, blah, blah. Well, then I find out, well, the part that broke, they don't have any extras. It's like a Star Trek episode. They don't have any extras. We got to go to that planet over there to get dilithium crystals because we don't have any extras. And so they had to get the part shipped from overseas. I'm just like, you've got to be freaking kidding me. So they were telling me, no, this week you'll get your books this week. So that is this week. But like I said, I don't trust anybody as far as I can throw them, which is not very far anymore. But I will definitely keep you guys updated. And as soon as those hardcovers get in, they're going out. So please hang in there with me. The hardcovers are really, really nice. Let's see. Let me show you. You can't really. This isn't as noticeable, but I still would not send this to anybody. See that right there? That is the least offensive hole in the bindery. Some of them would cut all the way across like this, and then sometimes there was two of them. Some of them were just creases. Some of them were actually tore through the paper. It's just like, this is a collector's item book, signed and numbered. It's limited edition. There is no reason for the spine not to be perfect. So I was not going to put up with this crap. But as you can see, it's a nice looking book. Lots of color in there. Full color book. So Paul Taylor probably is really excited. This hardcover does have, well, I can't really show you that because I show the ending of the story, but it does have a bonus portfolio gallery of, stuff in it, like most of it's color, but you got a Reenie and an Andy Smith in there and other things. So there's bonus material in here that, plus it's signed and numbered, as you'll see. Everybody will get their copy and it'll be signed down here with a number out of 750. And so anyway, they're on their way. They're on their way. I did this project so I could turn it around quickly. I had Matt Ryan ink it. Kelsey colored it, hoping that, hey, I'd be able to turn this around in 6 months and everybody'd get it. I'd be able to do 2 projects in a year. This has taken me longer because of all the screw ups. This has taken me longer than just a Wraith of God project. So, God, don't get me started. Anyway, so I appreciate your patience. They're coming. They'll look great. You'll be glad once you get it. As the great Adam Hughes once told me, he says, it doesn't matter how late you are. All they're going to remember is how nice the project is. And yes, you get upset while you're waiting when something's late. But once it shows up and you've got it in your hands, you've had it for 6 months, you're like, you don't even remember that it was late. You just remember, oh, it's so nice. And this is nice. So hang in there, folks. Hang in there. But I'll continue to ship everything out I possibly can that is not attached to a hardcover, like posters and there's not that many that aren't part of the Kit Carter Completist, which of course has hardcover in it and t-shirts and all that kind of stuff. So I did get a few completists out, but for the majority of them, you guys, and it upsets me because you guys are the big order people. They ordered the big box of everything and you have to wait the longest to get it, which just ticks me off. But anyway, Geek Avenger for $2. Way to muscle through to the other side. ALO. That's what I'm all about, is muscling through to the other side. I don't like the Doors. I just don't. I never have. And yet there I am singing their songs. See, Eric's right. I am considerate. This is exactly why I wear a hat, is so you don't get that. That's why I wear a hat. I think I am very considerate. Daniel Russell says, relax, at your age, you could blow a gasket. Indeed. Anyway. Okay, so we're going to do something we haven't done in a while. Okay, Andino. It only matters if a woman's late, and that's the late you don't want. Oh, my goodness. Okay. We haven't done this in a long time, but I'm doing it today.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
I fed my dog like 20 minutes ago, and he's down here begging. It's just pathetic. All right, so I'm going to go with you remember the timer from like Saturday morning or after school special on Saturday morning. He's hankering for a slice of slab of chunka. He's hankering for a hunk of cheese. Tillamook cheese, in my opinion, the best cheese in the country, right here in Oregon. One of the few things we can brag about in Oregon of actually being good. This is it's Colby Jack. So you've got a little of that yellow in there and a little of that white in there. It's really mild, but it's really flavorful. And that's what I'm having today. Cheese. Cheese, Gromit. Cheese. All right. While I'm shoving food in my face, let's take a look at the Frazetta of the day, shall we? That was a little fuzzy. I apologize for that. I thought that image was sharper than that. Did you guys notice the tree was bleeding? So Brack the Barbarian, he's the blonde guy with the ponytail. So he's hacking up the tree, and the tree is bleeding. Now, I assume that big gaping opening in the tree was like the tree's mouth, maybe, or something. Frazetta did not a ton, but maybe 4 Brack the Barbarian pieces. And I believe that was by author John Jakes, was the author of the Brack the Barbarian series, the book series. And I don't know if it was a Frazetta creation to make him blonde with the braid, or if it was, how it was written up. But there's a few of those, and I kind of like them. I kind of like his Brack. Now, of course, they're not as famous or as well known as his Conan pieces, but strong pieces nonetheless. And that's kind of what we were looking at right there. Although I'm a little confused. I haven't read any of the books, but I'm assuming the guy in the red clothes, the red cloak, he looked like maybe he was some sort of evil wizard or something. And excuse me. There we go. Like he was the evil wizard, and yet he was being held by the tree. Which we got to assume the tree's the bad guy, right? So why would the bad guy be? Maybe he's protecting the evil wizard. Maybe that's what it is. This is an excellent question right here by Paul Taylor. Did Frazetta ever draw any Robert E. Howard's other characters? I don't believe I've never seen a Frazetta King Cole. I've never seen a Solomon Kane. He did do Brand MacMorn, however. There is a Brand MacMorn painting. that he did for the book Bran Mac Morn, who was a barbarian, the barbarians that stormed the Romans and took down the Roman Empire. So I know he did that, but I've never seen a Cull, and I've never seen a Solomon Kane, which would be very interesting. Because there's a couple, I don't know if there's 2 or 3 Solomon Kane paperbacks, but Jeff Jones did the covers for those. And there's only one King Cole collection, and that was not a Frazetta cover either. I can't remember who did the art on that. So yeah, Conan and Bran Mac Morn, as far as I know, is it. Cole has an axe. By this axe I rule. Randy Hall says Brack ain't no tree hugger. That's for sure. Of course, he's talking about kidney stones, and it is indeed true that regardless of what you eat, if you deluge yourself with water, it's supposed to filter your kidneys and prevent stones. That's the best prevention. But the amount of water they want you to drink is like, you're up going to the bathroom every 30 minutes. It's like, I do drink a ton of water. Henry is correct here. In Cole and the Barbarians, number 2, I think it's number 1, but it might be number 2. There's a Neil Adams double-page spread with Brack, Cole, Brule, Red Sonja, and Solomon Kane. Very nice stuff. Yeah, great Neil Adams pinups. And there's also a Solomon Kane story that runs throughout Cole and the Barbarians, which is a 3-issue magazine series that only lasted 3 issues. But there's a Howard Chaykin sort of origin story for Red Sonja, which involves assault, which makes me uncomfortable. And then there's the Solomon Kane was drawn by that guy who did that, Alan Lee Weiss, but it was inked by Krusty Bunkers, which is Neil Adams' crew. So it's pretty good looking stuff. So there you go. That's my thing, and I'm sticking to it. Okay, let's as you all kind of roll in here, get comfortable to see what I have to offer you today. I'd appreciate it if you'd take just a moment of your time to watch this public service announcement. That's right. Like and subscribe. It's it's a great thing to do, and it's a tasty way to do it. Although I don't really know if that's true or not. Okay, so I've got a weird bit of news. I wanted to make sure I didn't forget this. Somebody sent this to me, and I apologize. I can't remember who sent it to me. Was it Danky Frankie maybe, or Daniel Russell, or somebody like that? I cannot remember, but whoever wants to can take credit for it. But let's take a look at this. I don't even know if this is really of that much interest to anybody other than me, but I'm going to share it anyway because it's strange. Okay, let me share the screen. All right, so Mego announces Atlas Comics toy line. What? Oh, you got to ask yourself why. Maybe let's see what the article says here. It says Amigo announces Atlas Comics line. Now, when they say Atlas Comics, we're talking about the 70s line of Atlas Comics, like the Destroyer and Planet of the Vampires and the Scorpion and Iron Jaw, all those characters that Atlas / Seaboard Publications did. They lasted about a year before they went under. And this was the guy who owned Marvel, Goodman, and he sold Marvel. And as the story goes, he sold Marvel, and with the idea that his son was supposed to be in charge, but they booted his kid. So he started Atlas Seaboard to compete with Marvel and kind of, stick it to him. And well, didn't really work out. But anyway, So the question then is, you got a failed comic line from, the early to mid 70s, 74ish, I guess, probably 75. That lasted a year. Why, 40 years later, 50 years later, are we looking at a toy line? Let's find out. Mego announces Atlas Comics line plus Marvel update. Mego Corporation is teaming up with Atlas Comics. Atlas Comics doesn't even exist. And Walmart just in time for the New York Comic Con, which is this weekend, right? The Mego Museum interview Marty, Paul, and Bruce from Mego as they drop their latest news on the Atlas Comics toy range. This toy line is based on the characters from the 1970s comic company formed by Marvel's founder, Martin Goodman. During its brief tenure, very brief, Atlas changed the comic industry. I don't know if that's true. And attached talents like Larry Lieber, Steve Ditko, Jeff Roven, and Howard Chaykin, to name a few. Recently, the Atlas properties have been revived and optioned. Here we go. Have been revived and optioned for a series of TV and film projects. Mego is launching 4 new 8-inch Atlas figures based on their classic comic designs next weekend at New York Comic Con. Walmart will reveal a new character each convention day and give away 100 each of each figure. Marty Abrams will sign all 4 days at NYCC at the Walmart booth. Walmart has a booth at New York Comic Con. The first wave of Mego Atlas Comics figures comes in a display box complete with a reprint of the character's first issue. It is expected to be available at walmart.com this summer. I don't know why I had to reprint it. The originals aren't worth anything. And Mego also revealed that the upcoming Marvel waves will be exclusive to Disney stores, theme parks. Who cares about Marvel? But it doesn't tell us which character are going to be revealed, although it must be revealed now because this past weekend was, it's Sunday right now, so this is the last day of New York Comic Con, right? Or am I just high? I don't know because I don't really pay attention. But so there you go. I don't know what this means, but they must have a lot of faith that something's going to get made out of these characters, which I find hard to believe. Maybe Iron Jaw. I'd go watch an Iron Jaw movie, maybe. Paul Taylor says, clarify for me, wasn't Atlas around? Yes, they were. That's what they were called before they became Marvel. They were Timely Comics. Then they became Atlas in the 50s into the early 60s when you had all the giant monster Kirby comics. And then they became Marvel Comics with the launch of the Fantastic Four. So there you go. That's a brief history of Atlas Comics. Yes, Neil Adams did covers. No interiors that I'm aware of. He did a lot of covers. He did ink Pat Broderick and Planet of the Vampires. How about that? His Iron Jaw covers are cool. He also did. They had a blue character that was kind of a Hulk ripoff called the Beast, and Adams I think did a couple covers of those as well. So there you go. Last day of NYCC, and it's okay. I would be because it's 7:00 in New York, and I was over at 5 Eastern time, so it is over. Renee is selling out at NYCC. He had to be FedExed more. That's great. Are you talking about the toys? I don't know. The Brute. That's right. It wasn't the Beast. It was the Brute. And I do have the first issue in near mint condition. You'd think I would know that. The Cougar, the Brute, Destructor, Tiger Man, Demon Hunter, Grim Ghost were fun Atlas characters. Grim Ghost, didn't he have a cape and a sword? Not sure what that was all about. I remember the Cougar. The only ones I really paid attention to were Iron Jaw and the Brute. Oh, and they had they had like a Suspense Tales or they had like monster stories in it, and I read some of those. Rich Buckler did this kind of lizard guy this orange lizard guy, I can't remember his name, that appeared in one of those books that I kind of kept an eye on as well. Oh, Renee, not Renee. Renee sold out. Well, good for her. No Neil Adams on The Brute. It was Dick Giordano. All right. If you say so. Oh, there you go. Wolf the Barbarian too. See, I always kind of like this, the barbarian stuff. So I would always, Tales of Evil. That's it. The Man Monster. That's it. Thank you, Apex Comics. Tales of Evil. That's kind of just going right for the jugular, isn't it, at this point? It's not like weird mystery tales. It's Tales of Evil. Oh, okay. And but it did have the Man Monster in there, which was by Buckler. And I remember reading that and got his origin story and everything. And it was kind of a bummer when you're a kid because you start buying some of these books and they just disappear because they go under, and you're like, what happened to all my Atlas books? So anyway, there you go. Tales of Evil. Did anybody put out like a comic called Tales of Good? Tales of Goodness. Maybe I should do that. I don't know. Tales of Evil, Aaron's bio. Yeah, I don't think so. Tales of Anger might be a good name for my book because I am pissed off all the time. Oh, that's right. The Bog Beast. Exactly. Henry Jeremick says the Grim Ghost is exactly like Wraith of God. Well, not exactly like it, but actually I don't know because I've never read it. I remember seeing it and I was just like, I like the name, the Grim Ghost. That's kind of cool, but I didn't like the look of the character. It didn't really fit the name for me, so I didn't really, Spaceman is dropping in from deep space, says dropping in quick to say, hey, about to sit down for dinner with my wife. Have a great show, Aaron. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, there we go. Headless Bourgeoisie, Tales of Consternation. I like it. I think maybe that's what I'm all about. Okay, so let's do some fun stuff that'll take me away from my consternation. Let's just get right into this because I got a feeling we might be chatting about this a little bit. It's time for my top 5. Excuse me. So as I promised you guys, we're going to start in the 40s and go through each decade of my top 5 favorite comics. In the 50s, it wasn't that hard to pull the 5, even in the 40s, it wasn't that hard. It's really hard in the 60s. And it's probably really going to be hard when I get to the 70s. Probably the 80s too. A lot of good stuff going on in the 60s. And so it's kind of like, you can say, well, what was the most important comic or what was the most influential comic or what was the most valuable comic? And that's not how I'm looking at it. I'm just kind of my favorite books. And it sort of takes into, the story, the character, the collectability, of course, weighs in a little bit. But only from the standpoint that I'd say, hey, man, if I could get a comic book from this, I would love to have this book kind of thing. And it encapsulates all these different things. And there's a ton of great books in the 60s. So obviously I'm going to leave some out. But before we get going, I'm going to show some that didn't quite make it into the top 5. Now, as you guys should know by now, I'm a Marvel zombie. I didn't really read DC books with the exception of some of the monster books. So you're not going to find a whole lot of DC on this list because even today as a collector, I want to go back and I'd get the Spectre series, and maybe a couple first appearances here and there that are, kind of important to me. But in terms of desirability, most of my attention goes to Marvel. However, I want to point out this book It didn't make my top 5. I do have a copy of this. In fact, it's really strange because I bought these when I was a kid, like at an old used bookstore called Serendipity here in Portland. I believe it's still there actually, but I think the lady's granddaughter owns it now or something. I don't know. But there's one of the spots we'd go to get old back issues and comics because there wasn't any comic shops. And I got every issue of Dead Man, but they were all just beat to crap, right? So a couple of years ago, I got myself I was able to find a 9.0 of this. I would have liked to get a higher grade, but it's a hard book to find. 1967, and probably print runs were lower on these than a lot of the other popular books. And they're just really, really hard to find high grade copies of these. And now, a high grade copy of this book is thousands of dollars. It just went through the roof. So I'm going to be satisfied with my, 9.0, which is a very nice looking copy. This was Carmen Infantino. I don't dig this cover. I think this cover sucks, but it's still a significant series. And Carmen Infantino did the first issue and I think Neil Adams, Carmen did the covers for 205 and 206, but I think Neil did the interiors on 206. Then he took over cover and interiors on 207. But the first two have Carmen Infantino covers, and the first issue I know is Infantino, and 206 might be as well. But this is one of my favorite, DC characters. So I just think it's kind of an interesting take. You got this circus daredevil who dresses up in this costume of a dead man. So it's like, it makes perfect sense for this character to have this costume because it was his performing costume. And then he gets killed by an assassin. And so then his ghost is still in this costume. So it all makes perfect sense to me anyway. And I really dig it. Yeah, they probably stole it from The Fugitive. Okay. Here's another one that I love the cover on this. And it definitely would be in my top 10, but didn't make the top 5. And that is Iron Man #1. A really interesting book. I love the Gene Colan. I mean, it's Gene's anatomy is just wonky. I mean, you just sort of accept that. You either like it or you don't. But I love just the sort of the power of this first issue. Now, of all the first issues that came out in '68, which was Iron Man, Captain America, Captain Marvel, Silver Surfer, Submariner, Hulk. Who am I forgetting? There was an army book that came really bizarre. It came out #1 in '68 too. Not Combat Kelly. I don't think it was Combat Kelly. Who was it? It wasn't Nick Fury. It was something else. Although S.H.I.E.L.D. came out also. That was another one. So you had all these, books came out. And aside from Silver Surfer #1, this is the one that's worth the most money. And yet Iron Man is a incredibly unpopular series. So it's like this first issue is worth thousands of dollars. All the other issues, 2 and up, or you can have them for a song. It's really incredible. And it probably due to the popularity of the movie that really bolstered it. And it's hung on ever since. But I would love to have this. But this is actually true. Randy Howell's got it. They had a distribution deal through DC Comics, and DC limited them to how many books they could publish per month. That's why you had Tales of Suspense, Tales to Astonish, Journey into Mystery, because they could cram multiple stories in those books. And then in '68, they got their own distribution deal, and then they just sort of expanded like crazy. But yeah, so I would love to have this book. I don't have this book, but I don't want to pay the amount of money that they're asking for it. So I still don't have it. And this one other, before we get to the top 5, I'm kind of really cheating here. I should have made top 10, but I mean, this is pretty significant right here. First appearance of Silver Surfer and Galactus. This book is super expensive. Like a 9.2 of this book, I believe, is in that $10,000 to $12,000 range. I love how the fat watcher is running around in his little tunic. But I don't have a copy of this. Would love to have a copy of it, but I ain't paying that kind of money for a book. So, because I don't got it. Thank you, Jimmy. I will pass on your well wishers to her. It's just what you call normal surgery pain. So she's hanging in there, but pretty uncomfortable today. Paul Taylor, the Watcher, looks terrible. And Captain Bipko says, well, they should be the Weight Watchers today. Yeah, so there's like skinny Watcher and Fat Watcher. I always like kind of Fat Watcher. Although when I drew the Watcher, I drew him as Skinny Watcher. But if I had to do it over again, I'd draw him as Fat Watcher. So anyway, those are 3 that didn't make the top 5. So let's take a look at my top 5 books from the 1960s. Here we go. Number 5. This book is extremely hard to get in decent grade. It sold like crap. It only made 6 issues before it got canceled. And of course, the first issue, he was gray, and they finally settled on green because they were getting too much variance in the color. When they printed him gray, sometimes he'd turn out blue, sometimes he'd be purple, sometimes he turned out green, and they thought, ooh, that green, that looks pretty good. Let's go with that. And so they switched it to green with the second issue. This book, and Graham Nolan has a copy of this, and he in pretty nice shape, and he just treats it with such disrespect. It makes me cry. I mean, if I had a Kleenex right now, I'd dab the tears from my eyes. But this is a super expensive book, super hard to find. And I would love to have a copy of this. It wouldn't have to be super high grade, but at least, not falling apart. And it's untouchable. It's just too much money. But the great thing about it is it's fantasy as you like it. And ask the big question, is he man or monster, or is he both? We know for a fact that he's both. So anyway, Hulk number 1, classic Kirby stuff. I love it because this sort of Frankensteinish look to the Hulk back in the day, and it's just the scarcity of the book, and so it has a lot of appeal to me. But alas, my guess is I'll probably never have one. That's right. Don't worry. Don't cry for me. Number 4. You shouldn't cry for me, because I actually do have a copy of this one. This is pretty significant. Now, I'm a big Captain America fan. And this is his first Silver Age appearance. So this, of course, is the story where Captain America is in a block of ice, and these Eskimo types are worshiping him or something. At least that's, apparently what they do in Alaska. But anyway, and the Submariner is jealous because he wants their worship. So he takes this block of ice with Captain America and tosses it back into the ocean, where it gets into warmer waters and floats by a sub being manned by the Avengers. And they go, oh my gosh, look, it's Captain America. Let's pull him out of there. And they do, and the rest is history. But the strange thing is, why didn't Submariner recognize Captain America, since they were like basically teammates in the 40s? I don't know. Very strange. So anyway, but I do have a copy of this, a nice 6.5 slabbed copy, because I respect the comic. I don't want to see it damaged. But I do have reprints of this, so I can read that. And I have. There you go. Giant Man grabs him. They're in a sub, weren't they? And he was like floating by or something. Rocky McCobb says, Namor is such a G. So yeah, this actually trumps, pardon the expression, Avengers #1 for me. Avengers #1 was weird because it was like the Hulk was in it, but then he left after one issue. It's like, why didn't you put him in there to begin with? But this to me is, obviously it's not worth as much from a value stand as Avengers #1, but this is the comic for me. If I had to get, an Avengers comic, this would be it. And I did get it, and I do have it. So there you go. Number 3. Let's not run from the Avengers quite yet. Now, this isn't particularly old, 1968-ish, 7-ish, 67, 68, somewhere in that neighborhood. It's the first appearance of the Vision. It's a classic cover by John Buscema. And just a tremendous book all the way around. And I do have a 9.2 of this. Woohoo! So I do have a copy of this as well. But I've always loved the Vision. I always thought the Vision was cool. And especially when Buscema or Starlin was drawing him, he became extra cool. Or Neil Adams, too. Neil Adams drew a great Vision. So any of those guys, And I never really understood the romance between him and Wanda, Scarlet Witch. It's like, he's a robot, right? I don't know. I always thought that was weird. But anyway, of course, you live in Japan, having robot girlfriends is apparently the thing. So, but even as a kid, I was kind of like, what's going on here? That's true, but there's what's canon for the movies and what's canon for the comics. So anyway, there you go. That's number 3 on my list. I'm so happy to own those two. The question then is, what's number 2? Well, again, I'm not going to go classic on you guys. Well, I mean, anything from the 60s is classic, but I'm not going to go like old, early 60s. I'm going to go later 60s. And the reason you have to own this book is because it's one of the great comic covers of all time. I know I do have a complete run of Silver Surfer. My number 1 is like a 7.0. It's not slab. None of my Silver Surfers are slab. They're all living in oxygen. But they're all very high grade. And what do you say about this cover? It's just awesome. And the reason this book is worth so much is because of this awesome cover. And the story in it is good too. I mean, it's a little too much, a little too, how should we say, convenient of a misunderstanding type story where Loki convinces Silver Surfer that Thor is this bad guy and he must go fight him. And so you get this fight between Silver Surfer and Thor that's pretty rocking. And it's just and it's a king size issue, right? So it's one of those giant 25 centers. Giant 25 centers. Boy, those were the days, huh? And so I have a really nice, it's about 9.0, 9.2-ish, not probably closer to a 9.0 copy of this, that I actually traded a guy for some of my artwork. And I always figure anytime I can sucker somebody into taking my artwork for a cool comic, I'm probably going to do it. Marcus Killer Group pointing out that this may be John Buscema's best work inked by Sal. Sal was John's favorite inker, and he did a great job over him. But yeah, so this is my number 2 book, and it's based. It's just the cool factor on this book is off the charts. You got the Silver Surfer, who everybody thinks is cool until they read his comic, and then they think he's a whimpering simp. But he looks cool. And Thor, I've always thought Thor was cool. I've always loved Thor. And so there you go. And I do, like I said, have a copy of that. Now this, well, here we go. My number 1. Oh, got to do a little thingy here. Number 1. Probably going to guess this one. Amazing Fantasy 15. Now, I had Spider-Man in my collection. I had Spider-Man 2 and up, every issue. Not all great shape, admittedly. But I got frustrated because the only 2 books I needed was this, which I couldn't afford in a million years, and Spider-Man number 1. Now, I had a chance in the early 90s to get a fine copy of Spider-Man number 1 at WonderCon when it was still in Oakland. Motor City Comics had a copy, a 6.0, fine condition, for $2,500. And God, we were newly married. I really didn't have the money, but I was like, man, I should get this. But I just couldn't bring myself to do it. Shelley was there. She probably would have said okay, but she would have probably not been too happy with me because we really didn't have a bunch of money. I would have had to charge it and yeah. So, but now considering how much Spider-Man number 1's worth, probably would have been smart to get it. But anyway, so as time went on, I realized I was never going to get number 1, never going to get this. So my Spider-Man collection was pretty much complete, and there it sat in the boxes, whoop-de-doo. So I sold it, and there you go. So now I don't have any more Spider-Man. I've never got to the end of a collection before where I got every single issue of everything. I was like, okay, now what do you do with it? And so in a fit of frustration, I sold it all. Sold it all, I tell you. But yeah, I would love to have this. As a kid, I used to have dreams where I would be walking down the road and I'd see a box on the side of the road and I'd open it up and this would be inside the box. That's the kind of stuff you dream about when you're a kid. In fact, I still have that dream because now if I got this in a box, I'd sell it in a second. Oh my goodness. So anyway, and you'll notice that in this top 5 list, FF number 1's not in there because the FF weren't in their costumes, and it kind of ticked me off. They didn't get their costumes till the 3rd issue. Come on, man. What's that all about? Thor would have been, Journey of Mystery 83 or Tales of Suspense 39, first Iron Man. There's a gray, bulky Iron Man. Not as interesting to me. I mean, yeah, again, super high value, but I did like Tales of Suspense. I do collect Tales of Suspense. There's a lot of nice books in there, but they're not necessarily difficult to get. So anyway, I'm going to stick with that as my top 5 with a few honorable mentions, and we'll move on to the 70s next week. So there you go. Ronald Shaw, he says, I have the first series of Captain America in the Silver Age, including the Tales of Suspense and the Strange Tales issues where they had the fake Captain America running around. I have that too. That's Strange Tales 114 where he fights the Torch, but it's actually the acrobat dressed up as Captain America. Citizen Rowan says, I dream about girls, but to each his own. Well, I'm not saying when I was young I didn't dream about girls either, but before I started dreaming about girls, I was dreaming about Amazing Fantasy 15. I know it's a reprint cover, but it was, it's the same cover. So, that's, wanted to have one that was high res enough that, it wasn't all fuzzy and stuff while we're looking at it. Okay. So one of the things I brought up to y'all last time we did the show, I think was, what's next after Wraith of God 3? Do I go to Wraith of God 4? Do I try something a little different? Some people were saying, well, you should do a children's book, or you should do this and do that. And so we've seen these before. a while ago, but we're going to take a look at them again. These are some of my paintings, and that were for a children's book that we just, I never got around to doing. I do have an intro for this if I can find it. There it is. Now I'm going to switch my camera over and hope it behaves. So come on, baby, behave. It's behaving. Yay. All right. So this is from a book concept ad called Monster Ate My Sandwich. And this is the monster. And that's my daughter from 12 years ago. So this is acrylic. This is when I first started using acrylics, or tried to use them, because there's such wide open areas of space here. Let me see if I put a little more light on here. I don't know if it's going to wash out or not. Let's see. Oh, that's nice. Okay, that'll work. But you can see the texture I got here with the acrylic. On watercolor, I was afraid it would be too spotty looking. So I started using acrylic, but I didn't really know what I was doing. And then I finally figured it out. But so these were all like promotional paintings for this children's book that I was going to do that I never got around to doing. Now, this is watercolor here. And then this, I think, is acrylic. So it's kind of like depending on what kind of a look I was going for. I just felt the transparency of watercolor would work better on the flesh tones. So that's what I went with. Now this is a food-oriented shocker children's book. This is the Hamburger Giant. So now his face again is watercolor. Okay. Come on, focus, baby. And this vest here is watercolor. You can see the texture from the watercolor there, because that's what I wanted on there. But then his shirt, his green shirt here, these leggings, that's acrylic. Okay. And then again, the flesh tones, watercolor. And there's Samantha down there. She's all watercolor. His boots are watercolor again, because I wanted to create texture. There we go. But then the background stuff here, this is acrylic again. So doing a children's book like this with these characters would be a lot of fun. But would anybody buy it? That's the question. Okay, so this is interesting because now this is the pizza troll, and so he's basically made of cheese, which is kind of gross, I guess. But he's watercolor. His pants, however, acrylic. The tree, acrylic. His hat, oddly enough, is acrylic. But his face and all the lumpy cheesiness, that's all watercolor. Get a little Parmesan cheese there on his pizza. Now, what you'll notice also here, if you look at the outline here, that's colored pencil. So I would oftentimes, after doing a watercolor, I would go in and enhance that line. It's that's sort of that feeling of, I got to ink it, because I'm a comic book artist. So it's like, it's got to have a line. Now, if you'll notice, there's no line on the acrylic here. That's just the paint. But on the watercolor, I went in with colored pencil and punched up that line so it was darker. Now, for my book, which I do have copies available on my website at aaronlopresti.com, you'll find a link in the description of this video. This is all watercolor here, also outlined with colored pencil, usually a sepia tone brown. But everything here is watercolor. And this is a pastry troll. No, pastry elf. That's what he is. Again, this is the, what is this, the Christmas Goblin? Something like that. And this is all outlined in a blue colored pencil after everything else on here is watercolor. But the outline, you can see it there on the shirt especially. It's all blue. Everything else on there, though, watercolor. So by the time I got this book done, I was actually really good with watercolors. I don't mess with them as much as I did back then. This is the Gulfstream Gillman. This is all watercolor as well. And again, outlined with a, looks like a dark blue, a navy blue, or possibly a violet. Again, to punch it up a little bit. And these last three paintings were all from the Fantastical Creatures Field Guide, available signed on my my website, even as we speak. So, you know, would I do a painted project next to challenge myself to do something maybe, I don't know, a little more fun? I'm hesitant because I don't know what the audience is. There's always a few people who go, yeah, I'd buy that. But do you have the hundreds or the thousands you need to buy it? I don't know. Well, these images, Paul, they're in a book called The Fantastical Creatures Field Guide, How to Hunt Them Down and Draw Them Where They Live. And they are, of course, that is available on my website. And Captain Bipto says, put them all together, make like a monster-style Little Rascal comic. Citizen Ronan, who's quite an accomplished painter himself, says, these are terrific. I don't know why you say you're not good at painting. Because I don't know what I'm doing. I just do. And I mean, the key to being a good painter, or at least successful painter, is understanding value, your lights and your shades, being able to draw, you know, those things I can do. So then it's just a matter of controlling the medium you're working in and getting it to do what you want to do, which is really the challenge. For sale on your website, do I need to post that link on my main account for you, Lopez? Goblin Shades. I don't even know what that means. Hey, it's in the link in the description, along with, of course, a link to Wraith of God, Fear Hollow, which is Wraith of God 3. Let's see. So anyway, I am considering it because I do want to do something other than traditional comics. I mean, I've been doing that my entire life, and I love comics and stuff, but I also love illustration and maybe storytelling in a different format. The problem is when you do a children's book, even if the illustrations are really great, they're still geared for children. So you have, unless an adult's buying it for the artwork, or they have kids they want to read it to, you're limiting your audience. So it's challenging, because then, and those are as much work as a comic book artist, doing these paintings and putting together an illustrated book like that. So I don't know. I mean, I'm certainly going to be exploring different ideas as we go forward with Fear Hollow, and then figuring out what to do next. Not sure I understand. Do it the format of the Bible. No one's done that for a long time. I don't know if you're making a joke or not. Yeah, it's my phone. It's everybody's always texting me during a live performance. I'm telling you. Creative Face says she loves Dr. Cruel and Kenny from Power Cubed. Thank you. That's a fun book as well. Now, I highly recommend this. Gave a copy. Geek Avenger says he gave a copy of Wraith of God 1 and 2 to a Spanish coworker to improve his informal English. Well, that English is about as informal as you're going to get. Well, my texts, they are on silent, but they still vibrate. It's like, see, the thing is, when I turn everything off completely, then I forget it's there. And then I'll, like 2 days later, I'll look and go, oh, wait a minute, someone texted me yesterday and it's really important. And I didn't, Tippy Tail McKitty says, I liked Kit Carter. The old school humor was nice. Well, thank you. Keely Chow, I got my copy of both Wraith of God, Bloodhunters, and Kit Carter, Planet Doom. Thank you. Thank you, Keely. Watercolor painting of Esther showing ankle would be great. Okay, I'll mark that down on my to-do list. All right, well, yeah, there's some artwork there, but let's take a look at some other artwork that isn't by me as we contemplate what Aaron will do moving forward with the years remaining in his career. But right now, let's do this. You got to dig that jazz. Who is this guy? Robert Maguire. Not to be confused with Robert McGinnis. Although similar in their pursuits, a lot of these guys, 40s, 50s, 60s illustrators did a lot of paperback covers, a lot of spicy novels, as they might want to call them back in the day. And Robert Maguire is no exception. But very good stuff. And so I thought it was worth sharing. Again, these guys just, their sense of color, but also their sense of design. It's very impressive. Simplistic painting, really, just one strong central image of this girl. You got the tree, haunted house behind her. And that's it. And yet it's really, really super effective. I think the green is really nice. Probably would jump right off the old paperback stand back in the day. You may be asking yourself, well, okay, well, who is Robert Maguire? He was born in 1921, passed away 2005. So he lived a healthy, good, long life, it appears. Now, he was the son of a draftsman's architect. Robert Maguire began his education at Duke University. How about that? But like so many others of his generation, left for service in World War II, fighting in the 88th Infantry in Italy. That's very exotic. Upon his return, his interest in art led him to the Art Students League in New York, where his instructor was the famed Frank Riley. Wow, really? Two of Maguire's more noteworthy fellows were Clark Hullings, who I'm not familiar with, and James Bama, who I am very familiar with, graduates all of the class of 49. Now, Maguire's career took off immediately with his first work for Trojan Publications, cover art for their line of small pocket pulps with titles like Hollywood Detective Magazine. Maguire did 3 of 8 covers for his pocket pulp series, for this pocket pulp series. From then on, his career blossomed. His classic period of the 50s and 60s grew out of his skilled female images, some of the best and most memorable of the period. Well, we're looking at some of them right now. I love this one. Very similar to the movie poster for Sunset Boulevard, but quite effective. Beautiful face. Beautiful female face there. That purple is really interesting. Now it says Maguire did over Robert Maguire continued evolving and producing fine art as well as many memorable illustrations until his death, of course. Maguire's over 1,200 covers for such publishers as Pocket Dell, Ace, Harper, Avon, Silhouette, Ballantine, Pyramid, Bantam, Lion, Berkeley, Beacon, Monarch, and Signet. Virtually every mainstream publishing house in New York makes his original cover art a tour de force in the last half of the 20th century. One of his most famous book covers is Black Opium, which is considered by many crime noir paperback collectors to be the definitive crime noir paperback cover of the genre. He also designed art covers for video games, interesting, and for music CDs. I'm not a big, after all that buildup, Black Opium, I'm not that big of a fan of, and that is why I'm not even going to share it. But you can look it up, certainly, if you want to see more of his work. Now, I don't know if there's a book on his work or not. I probably should have checked. My feeling is there probably is. And Amazon would tell the tale. But, God, I love that face. Beautiful face. Marcus Killigrew said that he indeed went to the Art Students League. Yeah, man, can you imagine going... Frank Riley, of course, was a very famous illustrator. You go to those schools and you get taught by legendary illustrators. Unbelievable. I mean, I know... is it SAV? Something in New York. Simonson taught there. Maybe he still does. But can you imagine going and getting a comic art class from Walter Simonson? That'd be pretty cool. But also, likewise, if you're an illustrator and getting, taught by some of these legendary illustrators, it would just be fantastic. Mind-numbing. How about this? Look at that. So interesting. What a great composition. How dramatic. The funny thing is, because he did this kind of rough edge along her face here with the black, it almost looked like she's Venom, and Venom is, crawling up on her face. But I love this one. This is just so dramatic and so interesting. Test Chimp says that could be Wraith 4 homage cover. Ooh, interesting. It is interesting. I like that. I love this piece. Holy crap, this is great. Again, very simple in its design, but man, look at that. That red dress, shadow across her face. It almost looks like the Joker, doesn't it, kind of? Or Harley Quinn, I mean. These guys were just, most of us would like do the whole figure and articulate all of it and maybe put it in shadow. They just it's like all he wants you to look at is here and here. You know what I mean? This over here doesn't really matter. The shaded area over here. I mean, there's an indication of it, but it's not articulated at all because that's not where we're supposed to be looking. Who cares? And yet I can tell you right now, if I drew this, the whole thing would be there. I mean, you just, guys like this, they had such confidence in what they were doing and a real understanding of what they were doing. Now, granted, they were probably taught this in school, obviously, and it was kind of, hammered into their psyche. Where we come from a comic book background where hyper detail is so important and then you don't leave anything out, kind of thing. But this is just so cool. Yeah, he was a lot of these guys made their bread and butter on, doing really well femme fatales, or doing, painting them or illustrating them, however, drawing femme fatales was big business, man. These spicy novels, man, or paperbacks, they aren't really novels, but this is interesting too. I love this composition. Now, obviously, your book cover title would be in here, and all your trade dress and stuff. And there'd be something like, "She had a gun, and you didn't want to mess with her," or whatever, to fill in all this. But just in and of itself, it's great composition. Look at the door. It's almost like this kind of 60s Frizz Freeling kind of, penciled in door that wasn't even, wasn't even painted. This is interesting. Cool design. That skirt, how he handled this black skirt, those wrinkles and stuff, highlights, really, really nice. I love that sort of 50s hairdo there. I'm not sure though. Is this a wig down here on the floor? Is that an orangutan that she shot? I don't know. I love this green too. I mean, I'm not a big green fan, but I like just the contrast with the rest of this, with that kind of bluish turquoise green. I love that. Ooh. You actually have some original Maguires, or are you talking about, you have the paperbacks he did the covers on, or do you actually have some originals? That's impressive. You guys discussing porn in Pompeii for? You know what show this is? Come on. Look at this one. You want to talk about super dramatic. Look at the blue. Oh my goodness. Look at that. Again, you got nothing going on here. This is all shadowed in. You got some highlights here for her red hair. Great face. Beautiful face. That hand with the sprayed fingers like that, or splayed fingers like that. She got like a voodoo doll or something. That's trippy. There's so little going on here. You've got this area right here is it. And, the doll here a little bit, because it's lighter so you can see it, doesn't get lost. Man, so good. And the drawing is so good too. It's like high drama, great composition, just vibrant color. Because a lot of, with the paperbacks back then, they were fighting just like comic book people were to get get your cover noticed on the spinner rack. When I used to go into old bookstores, when I was a kid, and they would have all the paperback racks on the wall, and it was like you had to do something to kind of get people to go, "Oh, whoa, what's going on there?" And this is like, that's an image that would do that. God, I love that. So good. Although there is a question about why she got a voodoo doll of herself. Why would she be sticking pins in a doll of herself? I don't know. I guess we have to read the book to find out. This is another really nice one. Well, of course, I'm not going to show you crappy ones, but Really interesting. You've got the drawing, which I assume is probably like charcoal or something. And then he just kind of paints right through it, of the guy, I mean. Great figure of the girl, nice face, the hands are beautiful. And then, of course, that sort of red and yellow background really make that thing pop. But again, know your audience, right? So 90%, 95%, 99% of the people reading these books were men, right? So you're going to have a big image of a beautiful woman on the cover to allure the reader in to buy the book. So it's all marketing, right? I read a quote from him saying that he would always, turn in like 4 or 5 sketches for his book covers, and they'd love them all, So, or he said a lot of accomplished illustrators they would just turn in a sketch and they'd approve it and they'd go ahead and paint it, but he would turn in several, kind of like we would have to do with comic book covers. So that was interesting. Because if you get a bunch of really nice ones from this guy, you're going, oh, let's see which one. Yeah, those appear to be oil rigs. Mortal V says that guy's just missing a bottle, dribbling a bit of liquor out from his right hand. All comics, she's toxic. I miss the covers that would say stuff like, in this issue, somebody dies. No. Well, if they did that, though, they really actually had to kill somebody. I assume you're talking more about comic covers. This is just a straight up, I assume this is a gothic romance cover, but it could be fine art too. It's just a really beautiful piece. And it feels like a gothic romance, but since there's no dude or anything like, in the background, I wonder if this was just a fine arts painting of a girl in a white dress. I like the sky and the clouds back there. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that, if you look at the trees, this is not real detailed stuff. This is Bob Ross kind of background here. But, it's done with shape and color. You don't need, in reality, you don't see that kind of detail, right? You're focused on the girl here. And then this stuff just sort of, just becomes shape and color. We don't need all the detail. In fact, the detail would be frowned upon because it would pull your eye away from the focus. That's the one thing I could never quite figure out about comics. Everybody loved the detail to the point where you'd get like a hyper detailed piece cover or whatever, or even interiors, and you couldn't separate foreground, middle, and background. And you'd lose your focus. But people were so enamored, and still are, with just lines and detail and stuff like that, that I understand why artists do that. But I love the simplicity of this in terms of the background, and it's really, really nice, soft colors. Now this is interesting too. This is this is definitely a romance cover. I just love this kind of warm auburn, sort of orangish yellow kind of cloud base back here, and that this blue is hardly blue at all. It's really kind of a cool gray, but it reads as blue up against these other colors here. And so you've got this sort of, they're more detailed, cleaner. The rest of this is just kind of again, not particularly detailed, but again, doing your stuff with design, your shapes, and your color to really make this work. And this obviously would have been a wraparound, right? So the right side would have been the book cover, and you'd have all your trade dress and everything up here. And then you'd have this would be on the back cover and whatever they tell you about the book or whatever. But it's interesting. I wonder how frequently they were doing wraparounds like this or just doing the single cover, the front cover image. But again, it's just like, look at the painterliness of this cloud work here. Not detailed at all, but it really captures what he's going for. No one's going to look at that and go, well, it's not clouds. I mean, yeah, it looks like clouds. Stylized, but yeah, clouds. Really, really nice. Really, really nice. Headless Bourgeoisie says, very 70s. She has that Jordache jeans butt, indeed. So there you go. There's Robert Maguire. So if you want to, and he's got a ton of stuff. You Google him, just tons. Very prolific. Did a ton of work. Most of it really, really, really good. So check him out, if you will. Okay. Well, I'm not going to go particularly long today, but we do have some videos to look at that might spark some conversation. I would encourage everybody here. We got about quite a few people. Hit the like and subscribe, please, if you haven't done that. We're finally over 4,000 subs. And I greatly appreciate you guys' patronage and showing up to watch the shows. And we'd greatly appreciate it if you'd like and subscribe. Let's do a real quick commercial break here before we go into Bigfoot. I don't do a very good job of selling my wares, but let's hit this real quick. We're currently at $50,410, 617 backers. Oh, got up to 50,524 and 620 backers. Thank you guys very much. This is Wraith of God, number 3, Fear Hollow. The story sounds basic, but oh, is it complex. The Wraith and Esther journey to Cranestown, someplace in New England, to challenge a horror from his past, the Headless Horseman. The evil that menaced the Wraith 20 years earlier has returned with a vengeance, but is there more to this showdown than meets the eye? I think there is. Will the fear that shaped his destiny as a young lad ultimately destroy their lives? Wraith of God 3 is not to be missed. It is not to be missed. Very exciting story. It's actually kind of creepy. I was working on the script, and I was like, I scared myself. I had to take a break. So anyway, so you have multiple cover options here. You don't have to get any particular one, but you can get any one you like, or you can get all 4 of them. There's we have perks that feature all these different options for you. This is the cover A, featuring the Headless Horseman. This is cover B. This is a EC tribute cover. If you don't know what EC comics were, they were the horror comics from the 50s that ushered in or helped usher in the Comics Code Authority. So the cover layout is very much similar to something you'd see from an old EC comic. Then we have a retro Marvel 1972 cover, not based on anything in particular, other than just, General Gil Kane greatness, who did a ton of these. And I think it fits kind of nicely into that school. So there you go, Wraith of God 3, Fear Hollow. You can get that, or you can get our special guest artist, Chris Stevens painted cover, which is beautiful. So like I said, you can get any one of these. You can get any combination of them. You can get all 4 of them. Just check the perks on the right-hand side. They will lead you on your path. This is some interior artwork. I want to post some interior artwork from Wraith of God 3 here pretty soon. But right now, this is a backup story that will appear if we hit 100K, which I believe we will. And this is by me and David Williams. I wrote it. David illustrated it. This, of course, is Eon Chance, a character who's already appeared in a couple of the backup stories in Wraith of God 2, Blood Hunters. There was a nightclub story that he appeared in and a Garbage Man story that he appeared in. So he's a main player in the Loprestiverse, the Empire Comics universe, if you will. That's all connected. Here's a nice double page spread by David featuring some Kirby-type, Sentinel-type characters. And this story is the origin of Empirus, who is another going to be a major player in the Empire Comics universe. So we only get this if we get to 100K, which we're at halfway there right now. Long way to go. So very optimistic that we will hit this mark, and this story will be completed will be included in the book. Stretch goals. We have one unlocked already, the Loprestiverse editorial retro page, which have been in the previous Wraith of God books. They have like the value stamp in there, and it all kind of looks like an old Marvel page from the 70s, editorial page from the 70s. It's kind of fun. Then we got trading cards coming up for 60 and 80,000. And then, of course, 100,000 David story gets in there. 125, we're going to go spot gloss on that EC cover. Then at 150, will we get to 150? The previous books have. Will this one? Tough economy. I don't know, but we're going to be pushing for it. We'll see what happens. Some of the add-ons you can get, the Wraith of God Nouveau print. This comes signed and numbered, limited to 500 copies. So you want to order one of those before they sell out. Wraith of God Roughs Volume 3. This gives you layouts of not all the page, but 48 pages of layouts from the book. The story is going to be at least 64 pages. And this gives you kind of, pull the curtain back, see the process of all the page layouts and compare them to what the finished product will look like is always kind of fun. The nightclub shot glass is also available. That's number 3 out of our 6 planned shot glasses for the set. And when we get to the 6th shot glass, we'll make available a holder for all the shot glasses. And so we have Wraith of God shot glass and a Garbage Man shot glass. Those are still available. I haven't put them up on my website yet, but they're getting there. And Nightclub is the 3rd in the set. So if you're collecting the shot glasses, make sure you get this. We also have poker chips. How about that? A set of 3 commemorative. You've got the Wraith, you've got Esther, and you've got the Dale Keown Werewolf poker chips in this set of 3. These are clay poker chips, so they're nice. And you can also get your back issues. Wraith of God number 1, second printing with the new cover, though. And then Wraith of God 2, Blood Hunters with the wraparound cover option here. I will say this. These are available on my website, so you can get them right away. They're more expensive. I think they're $5 more on my website than they are in the campaign. So it just depends on how quickly you want to read them and do you want to pay the extra money or not. So anyway, and all the original artwork has sold that I've put up so far. I keep promising to put more stuff up. But to be honest with you, my priority right now is getting all Kit Carter orders fulfilled and out to you guys. I don't like running dual campaigns. It really, I just don't think it's a great look. I had to do it simply because of the delays in Kit Carter ran into my scheduled Wraith of God launch. But ideally, I'd like to have, the previous campaign completely fulfilled before I launch a new one. Wasn't able to do it this time. So, but my priority is getting all those books out to you guys that have ordered Kit Carter. And we're working on that right now. And like I said, we've shipped out over 600 orders so far. And hopefully we'll have it if the hardcover, reprint hardcovers, or I should say the back to press hardcovers, because they're not a reprint, they're going to be the actual books because they screwed up the entire order. So those are getting went back to press, and those are supposed to be showing up this week. And then we'll be able to get all the hardcovers out, as we've got most of the soft covers out. I think we still have like 100 or so soft cover orders that have not shipped that are going to go out this week, along with the posters that are separate order. Those will go out. And then it's just a matter of till we get the hardcovers in. And some t-shirts have gone out, but only with people that have ordered them with the soft cover. Most of the t-shirt orders are part of hardcover orders as well. So it's kind of made it difficult there, but hang in there. The hardcovers are coming and we'll get those fulfilled. But anyway, the link is in the description of this video for Wraith of God 3 Fear Hollow. If you haven't backed, please consider doing so. This is a really, I don't want to pat myself on the back, but it's a good series. You should enjoy it if you like monsters and superheroes and maybe a little of the Old West and a little bit of a Christian morality worked in there as well. It's got everything. Fun characters, stuff that you can kind of really grab onto. And so I highly recommend it. Obviously I would, I'm it's my book, but give it a shot. I think you'll enjoy it. So anyway, there we go. There is your commercial for today. Now, let's look at our furry friend from the Great Northwest. Some people like to call him Bigfoot. I like to call him not Bigfoot. Or at least not finding Bigfoot. This is some of the best, and I mean totally serious, some of the best footage. Not everything on here is, but we've got a couple of pretty clear videos. You will have to judge for yourself what you believe, because you already know what I believe. I believe it's all a bunch of crap, but I'm compelled to continue to look at it regardless. So here we go. All right, what's going on here? I don't know where this, they never tell you where this is at, but these are some cave critters. What do you think here? Real or fake? I don't know. It's CGI, right? It's got to be. Dale A, it's real. He's on board. Like most of these things, this is an undisclosed. I mean, this looks probably like maybe allegedly from South America. It's not bad though. The fact that these little critters are not scurrying away with someone with a camera right there makes me kind of wonder. But Spambot says body cam footage from Kelsey's wellness check. GJ Martinez says those are totally real. I've seen them all. Okay. Oh boy, Job Bez taking shots at poor Anna. Jerry Roscoe is a little cynical here. He's saying this shadow moves strangely. Let's see here. This isn't bad though. This guy right in the middle here, it's pretty good. These other guys, you know, they're in the shadow. You can't really tell much, but yeah, I'd be more inclined to believe something like this if they would actually reveal where they shot this at and who shot it. Toshiro believes that they might be elderly mutant Ninja Turtles. Ronald Shaw says, interesting. It looks legit. The bodies of the creatures don't look like people in costumes. No, it's definitely not that. It's either real, which my cynicism will keep me from accepting that, or it's, somebody did some CGI. I think they're little feet, aren't they? These are like, every once in a while from like South America or someplace, they come up with these weird creature videos that are like elves or wood trolls or something like that. I'm not really sure what this is other than just cave critters. So think about it as you sleep tonight, the reality of possibly little cave critters out there. All right. Okay, here we go. Here's some Bigfoot action off a trail cam. So it's black and white, not great resolution, exactly what you'd expect from a trail cam that's not filming a deer. Because when they film deer, they're perfectly in focus. But when they film something else, they're not. All right, so look at this. Now, I would like to point out to you, watch carefully, right there, his bare foot coming out of the costume. At least that's what I'm seeing. Why does he have bare feet, unhairy bare feet coming out of what appears to be a pant leg? And as you can see, we don't get a good shot of the face, but it's not particularly well designed or articulated face. My feeling is it is a dude in a costume, because if you're doing a CGI thing, why the bare feet? Look for, there they are, the bare feet. I guess it's better if they had like tennis shoes on or something. Headless Bourgeoisie said face looks like Dick Cheney, maybe onto something there. They couldn't afford to rent the shoes for the costume. He says, I see bare buttocks there. Well, could be. A reverse Hobbit, says Leg Kick. Budget costs, yeah. Jerry Roscoe says, looks like the bit when The Rock played Sasquatch on SNL. Okay. John Porton saying Mike Obama, maybe. Look at the bare feet. Are you kidding me? See, this is where you turn the movie into the class and I go, wow, this looks pretty. Oh, F. How could you forget to cover your feet? Look at that. You can see his ankle bone and everything right there. Right there, folks. Right there. I don't know. And yeah, his normal sized feet too. He doesn't have like a Bigfoot. I'm just so disappointed with people's efforts. Do I have to make the ultimate Bigfoot movie? I'm going to do it. I've been looking up Bigfoot costumes on the internet. There's some good ones out there. All right. Now we need to get back to super blurry because that's what makes the show. And this one will not disappoint. This is about as blurry as it gets. I've got this titled Lost Bigfoot. I don't know if it's because he's lost in the woods. Maybe. I can't remember. Let's see. There he is. He's rummaging around. Now with this one, I'm okay with the performance. He's a little hunched over. Yeah, he looks, I mean, doesn't have that casual stroll look about him. Like, he's going to Safeway to pick up some pepperoni or something. I love how they flip the camera. So it's like they got more footage, so it looks like he's going two different directions. He looks a little frumpy, but I'm actually okay with this. I think this is, you know, a decent effort. James says that footage is still more believable and entertaining than the Acolyte. Well, it doesn't take much, does it, to be better than Star Wars? Paul Taylor says another ape and blurry. Captain Bitpo says he's not lost. He's just drunk. Could be. But he's got his arms swinging in the bushes. I mean, you know, there's a little effort put into the performance here. So I'm okay with that. You know, it's blurry, but not horribly blurry. But I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to say dude in a costume. That's what I'm going to say. I'm just going to go for it. I don't. It looks a little baggy. Doesn't it look a little baggy to you? Like maybe he's not. Like right there, it just looks like a costume that's kind of baggy. We need more of an articulated butt. We're always looking for the articulated butt. So anyway, there you got drunk or lost Bigfoot. All right, now these next two are about as clear as you could possibly want. And I'm not being facetious. I'm being serious. So let's see here. Okay. The question is, what do you believe? What are you willing to believe? Here we go. Okay, look how clear that is until Bigfoot shows. Look at this. What do you make of this? A little grooming going on there. I think they could have put a little more work into the face because it just kind of looks like an old dude, you know, with a beard. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty clear, isn't it? What it looks like, though, is they probably videotaped it and they put it in a filter to make it look like a Super 8 film or something. But I like how he's like, you know, he's doing what maybe a Bigfoot might be doing. It's, you know, pure speculation, of course. But, you know, you have a Bigfoot sitting in a tree. You know, he's playing around with some twigs and he's like, why is my hair all matted? You know, he's kind of messing around with crap. And it's of course, a very short clip. And then he's kind of looking at the sun. I just think the face looks too humanoid. They didn't do enough work on the face. He doesn't. His torso isn't really articulated either. It looks like there's some padding under there to support all that fur, but there's nothing really going on. But it's not a bad performance. I actually kind of like it. It's clear. You got him doing. He's playing with twigs like maybe a Bigfoot would do. You know, just kind of hanging out, sunning himself. And then the fact that they went in and, you know, made it look like a Super 8 or maybe a 16 millimeter film. That's always nice because, as you know, no one's used film cameras for at least 30 years. So you know this was digitally filmed and then doctored to look like this. But this is pretty good. You turn this into my class, although I'm a little disappointed on the face. I think it's, like I said, a little too human-like. But I'm definitely, yeah, I'd give you a B plus on this. Ronald Shaw's going, he thinks Bigfoot is supernatural. Well, that's kind of been the discussion on this show often, is that Bigfoot, he travels between dimensions, and that's why he's always blurry. Daryl Todd says, best of the bunch. Well, Daryl, you haven't seen anything yet. Now, a lot of you guys sent me this next one. And I'm afraid, as good as it is, I'm going to have to debunk it pretty hard. But here we go. Another casual Bigfoot sighting.
Come back. So today we're taking.
Pretty short, but pretty clear. And I think the short videos are the ones that always kind of like, why isn't this longer? Here's the problem with this video. If you go and look up Bigfoot costume, like if you want to get like the Jack Lynx, but this is exactly what it looks like. This looks like a Bigfoot costume that you can buy. Yeah, you search Bigfoot costumes, you'll see this exact costume. So it makes me believe that there you go. Jillian says it right there. Did you see that in the comments? Right there. She says, Google Jack Link's costume horror dome. Same exact thing. If you think it's not, then you're just an idiot, basically is what she says. That's exactly what it is. But I dig it, though. See, that's what I do. What I'd do is I'd buy this costume and I'd get some more movement, make it a little blurry, a little shaky, so you can't exactly pinpoint it as the Jack Link's beef jerky costume. But I love it. If Bigfoot looked like that, I'd be pretty happy. Although I liked Rick Baker's makeup in Harry and the Hendersons too. I thought that was really good. They put a lot of money for that costume to make a crappy video. I don't know how much the costumes are. That's the thing. I bet they're several $100s, don't you think? I could look it up, I suppose. But very interesting. So anyway, everybody sent me that one, and I saw it immediately. I went, that's the Jack Link's jerky Bigfoot, isn't it? And then I looked up the costume, and it's like, that's exactly what it is. But at least it was in focus, and they gave us a little bit of effort there. A little bit of effort. I think what you need to do is, if you buy like the costume, you got to doctor it up a little bit so it's not exactly like the costume. You can say, hey, wait a minute, that kind of looks like the costume, but it kind of doesn't. And then you got people maybe wondering a bit. Put a few leaves in, the hair, and give some interesting ape-like movements. I mean, I'm 6'2", so for normal people, I'm practically Bigfoot. So I could pull it off. Put the costume in, get Shelly out there filming it. I think we could do it. But I don't know if I want to. I don't know. I got to go check how expensive those costumes are, because I'm not a makeup artist. If I was friends with Rick Baker, maybe we could pull something off. That'd be fun. But I'm not. Although I do follow him on Instagram, and I think you should too. He posts a lot of really, really cool stuff. Daryl Todd says the one where he's taken a dookie is still the best of the bunch. Okay, that was the previous one. I like that one too. I thought it was pretty good. I want a little more ape-like in the face, and I would have been happier. But I think good stuff. So there you go. That is our Bigfoot video collection for today. Plus, we had a little cave critters we threw in there for good measure. So I want to thank everybody for joining me today. It was great to finally get back on the airwaves. So we should, everything should be full steam ahead. Should see me regularly again. And again, if you're waiting for your kit carters, please remain patient as we continue to ship those out. It is regular duty around here, so that stuff's going out as quickly as we can get it. Our hands are tied a little bit on the hardcovers until they get the new batch to me, which again is supposed to be this week. If I get more delays, obviously I will let you guys know through updates. And keep the faith, brother. It's coming. And please, if you haven't backed yet, please consider backing Wraith of God 3, Fear Hollow. It's going to be spectacular. So thank you guys all for joining me. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you for your participation in this show. Couldn't do it without you, obviously. Enjoy the rest of your weekend and have a safe week coming up. And we'll see you all over the place. Professional Comicsgate Kings, probably professionals, Graybeards on Wednesday. A lot of good stuff coming up. Hang in there and be good. And we'll see you soon. Thank you guys. Good night.